I'd like to show you that from the main menu, if you scroll over to the right, you will see the record time associated with each one of your jobs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one that's the longest one that I seem to have, which is only half an hour, and I am going to compress it. So I've got the job highlighted, and I know it's highlighted because the black arrow is pointing to it and it's highlighted in blue. And I'm going to click on File, Compress Job. That's going to bring up this compression dialog, and I'm just going to click on Compress. And you'll see that at first, the first thing that it's going to do is it's going to compress the room microphones 1 and 2. And the reason it's doing both of them together is because this particular file is a stereo file. So it's one file that consists of 2 tracks of audio. And, well, 2 channels of audio, 1 track, 2 channels. Now it's compressing the voice backup track. And now it says that the job is compressed, so I can click on Close. And there you have it. If we go to View and Show Files, what you're going to see if you come down to where it says Sound Files, which is the 3rd section in the Show Files list, and I just dragged out the name with the extension at the end so that you could see that both of these files are MP3 files. That's how you know they've been compressed, because when SpeechCat records a file, it records in WAV.
Can I say one thing, Adria?
Of course.
Okay, so one thing that's important to note about compression is once you compress the stereo file, you can no longer hear each channel separately. They play together as one channel.
Which is fine as long as you're not recording a room and a voice backup on one of each of those channels.
Right, and I think that, you know, most people compress when they're done with the job and they've done the scoping and stuff. So at that point, it's kind of unimportant.
Right, but you can still hear the audio,
yes,
which is the important thing. But it is a good idea to compress them before you archive them so that they're a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going to close out of Show Files. So that's compression of audio. Let's talk about Audio Archive now. Now, on Audio Archive can be found on the current case list buttons and on the courtroom list buttons here. Now, most people who do freelance work use the current case list. I don't think a whole lot of people who do freelance work audio archive, because I think they wait until the job is done and they do job archive to move everything together. An official cannot always do that because officials can take multiple jobs in a row, and one of those jobs may be called and the other 15 may never be called, or the other 5 may not be called for a long, long time. And so officials have to get the audio off their computer to allow room for more audio to come in. And so that's why officials tend to do audio archive a little more than freelancers, I think. Generally, when we audio archive, you'll notice here, audio archived, it says no. So you can tell whether it's been audio archived. So let's say that I want to go ahead and do some audio archiving. So I'm just going to click on Audio Archive. and it's going to bring up the audio archive dialog and everything in that list, which right now we're talking about the current case list. Everything on this list that has not been archived, audio archived, is going to show up here. And then over here, you see the audio size in kilobytes. If you scroll all the way over to the left, you can see which ones have been compressed and which ones have not. And so I'm going to go ahead and look for the ones that have been compressed. I clicked on the first one. I'm going to hold down the control key to click on the second one, because when you use the control key, you can click around. Things don't have to be in order. So up here at the top of the screen, you see set name. The set name is going to be very, very important, because if ever you need to pull this audio back up, you are going to need to be able to access this archive by the set name. And so if you can't write the set name on the device, like we used to be able to write the set names on the CDs or DVDs we made, now everybody is burning mostly to external hard drives. So all I need to do is hit archive. Now, before I do that, I want to explain the difference between copy and archive. Copy allows you to make a copy. Archive makes a copy and then deletes it from the hard drive. So if you are an official and you work for a court and they want you to turn in your audio, say at the end of every week, you could make a copy for them on a DVD or multiple DVDs, and then you could make your archive to your external hard drive. You've got to do the copy first, because the archive deletes it from the hard drive. So I'm just going to click on archive because I don't want to make a copy. It's going to say, are you sure that you want to remove this information from the hard drive? I'm going to say yes. And there you see it's archiving, archive complete. This was just 2 jobs. My jobs aren't very big, so it didn't take very long. If it's very large, like if you're an official and you're in court even 3 or 4 days a week, it's going to add up very quickly. And if you're not compressing the jobs, as some people do not do if they are not yet produced, it's going to take a while. And so what I like to suggest to people is, make a decision as to when you're going to archive and make it a habit. So if you're going to archive on Friday afternoons, then make it so that you do all the work you want to do, and then you go and you set your archive going, knowing that it's going to take a while. And if you're working on that computer while your archiving is being done, it's going to take possibly even longer. So the best thing to do is to set your archive going and say, okay, I've got plans, I'm heading out, I'm just going to leave this running. And when you're done, you simply click on close. When you return to the main menu, let me see. See, now these were my 2 compressed files that I archived, and now they say they are audio archived. Now, normally, when I do a job archive, I do it from the history list. So I'm going to click on the history tab up here at the top, and all of these have been job archived. So let me go back to current and move a few jobs over to history. Generally, I only move presented jobs to history. This one has been presented, and so has this one. So I do have, okay, good. I've got some jobs that I can move. So I am going to hold down my control key. And I'm going to select my presented jobs there, and I'm going to click on Move to History up here at the top. And it's going to say, are you sure you want to close these jobs and move them to history? And I'm going to say yes. And those jobs are going to be removed. Here's another presented one. I'll move that one to history as well. Okay, so now if I go to the history list, I've got some things that now are not archived. So now I can do a job archive. So this is the job archive button. It's the only archive button that exists in the history list, because in history was designed so that you would be moving completed jobs that need to be archived, whether they have their audio with them still or not. And so we're just going to click on Job Archive, and notice that there are some files here that have already been job archived. Those will not show up when I go to the Job Archive screen. Only the ones that have not been archived will show up. And there they are. And I don't want to make a copy. Now, notice that my destination is C. I didn't change that on my last one, but I should have, because now I always put my things in SpeechCat backup on my 1 terabyte drive. The archive that I did before is actually not on my 1 terabyte drive, but it's on my C drive. So now I'm going to go ahead and do select all and archive. And yes. And it'll burn all of that to my external hard drive. And then it will delete it from the computer. Archive complete. Okay, I can close. And I'm going to minimize this and bring up my recycle bin, just to show you that when you do that, files do go to the recycle bin. And so you're not really reclaiming that space until you empty your recycle bin. So that's what I'm going to do. And so now we're going to talk about housekeeping.